So yeah, we're starting with Metro, which is I think Benson likes this map a lot. I feel like.
Yeah, so it looks like Bensen picking this map again. Um, actually, I'm not sure if I noticed this, but is the boost bar different?
It looks like it's a little bit weird. I don't know. Maybe it just has to do with some of the. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It could be a lot of things. Boost bar is a little weird. It is what it
Yeah. So anyways, it looks like we have Bensen already getting the first point here. Also with an ice actually catching Calim by surprise there, or maybe not, but not that much that you could do about it in his position, except for possibly jumping over it, which he did try to do, I think.
Benson's showing that he's really the Metro specialist. I swear he never loses on this map. He won in his matchup against I believe it was Peng as well in a pretty convincing manner. Even though we do know that that was not the original Peng. However, it was just the way he did it happened to be very notable.
Yeah,
So
so
now
for
we're going
match
to
2,
Pitfall.
looks like we have Pitfall again, which I think we've probably beat this to death at this point, but it's been picked quite a lot this tournament.
It's Pitfall just it has a good diverse range of what you can places where you go really fast. You have to be very precise maneuvering. Some places
Yeah,
where
and
it's
it looks like
focused on staying
Calim
rapid.
playing it quite well currently. Taking the bottom basically perfectly as far as I can tell.
Wow,
And, oh,
very nice.
yeah,
That was
that hook almost getting Bensen back in there, but it didn't seem to do exactly enough for him to catch back up.
that time Benson taking a quick lead when Calim made a very devastating mistake early on. Benson using that ice beam I think a little too early there, trying to get it on the turn. I look like.
Yeah, so, oh, wow. Looks like Bensen actually staying alive there, just barely.
Or Calim rather. It's just a confusing match.
Oh, yeah, they are
I've
both.
never seen two red characters like this before. Actually, it's very similar.
Ah, I
Very,
see. Yeah, but either way, it looks like Calim continuing to hold the lead in most of these rounds here. Just playing a very solid bottom section, it looks like.
yeah,
Pulling
he's
it
just
back in for a second point.
very consistent player on Pitfall. Very few mistakes. Not to say that Benson isn't also a very consistent player, but Calim just seems to just have that slight edge. It looks like.
Yeah, so now both of them have an ice beam. This is a very interesting area to actually get to use that. There's a lot of places where it can be quite devastating, although it looks like both players there opting to play it very safe and dodge, you know, very far out of the way. Now we see Bensen trying to do a tricky hook there.
And he got him with the second one.
Yeah, got him with the second one, and that actually, I'm not sure if it did as much as he had hoped it to do, but it definitely caught Calim by surprise.
Yeah, sometimes with grapples, it's just you kind of just go for any kind of value, not necessarily the green. There's one, especially with that item, just because it's just so much harder to use. I feel like.
Yeah, and it looks like that bomb coming out, but perhaps a bit of desync there didn't really seem to hit or do as much as you would expect. But looks like here Bensen actually far ahead. We'll have to see if Calim is able to bring back his lead. As we've seen, he does play rather well in the bottom section, and it does look like he is staying true to that here. Barely staying off of the the back of the screen.
Oh, and Calim waiting to not get hit by that rocket, very smart. I was wondering what was gonna happen there, because traditionally people will use rockets in diagonal passages like that because they just kind of naturally go that direction. But Calim opting to wait to not get hit, which was very which
Yeah,
is a
so it
clever
looks like it's
workaround.
tied up now, except Bensen has a bit of boost. Not sure that it will actually help him here since the bottom section tends to already max out your speed when you're going along.
But it can be helpful here coming in. It means you can take that route instead of taking the one. It looks like that one slope there is really messing with Benson. He's just not quite getting as much speed as Calim, and Calim often is spiraling further leads. But not
Yeah,
this
and it
round.
looks like Benson possibly pulling it back here. Although Calim again showing that he's able to come back on the bottom section, so wouldn't put him out quite yet. Although with that one mistake at the end, it's just over.
He might have been dead anyways. The 2 turns he was doing have a lot of horizontal time put into them, and Benson was going pretty much straight. But still, not he did make a mistake, which is quite unlucky.
Yeah, so it looks like Calim is gonna pick now. I'll have to see if you can choose something that will put him at an advantage so that he can come back here. He's already down 2, so he wants to ideally choose something where he'll have a good advantage. I would say he had a good advantage on the last map, but unfortunately he wasn't able to secure the last point.
This is gonna be interesting. Calim is a more solid workshop player, it seems to me. He doesn't seem to be quite as versed in the officials. So Benson picking official maps
Although
seems
that first map may have been a fluke because
may have been,
again
yeah,
it
for
was
sure.
Metro and a lot of players tend to not practice that map quite as much as Benson does. So
Yeah, it is yeah. Benson is known to do. It's like the same thing as Edak and Mansion. It's Benson and Alley, or Metro rather.
yeah, so it looks like Calim actually getting hit by an ice, so he's put a bit behind here. But both players playing fairly well this first round. Although that missed drop grapple from Calim is gonna cost him that first round, as we see. Yeah, so it looks
Oh,
like both players getting the rocket. Calim almost getting a perfect rocket there, although just being dodged by Benson by sliding off of that instead of jumping.
Benson's taking quite an interesting route there to make sure he avoided his own rocket. I think he also didn't really use any boost to get into the shortcut. That was a nice defensive pulse from or a shockwave from Calim. Used it to
Yeah, and
block.
it looks like Calim actually making quite a difficult dodge there, controlling his jumps perfectly to avoid getting hit by that and also still make the slope there.
Oh, and he's taking the top route that forces Benson away from the items. Also can make it so that he can spiral his victory or not his victory, spiral his lead perhaps. But because he didn't have any boost, it looks like that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, and also that tends to be a strat that can be very powerful if you catch the other player by surprise. But right there, as we saw, Benson actually catching that and making sure that he also went up there into that route.
Oh, Benson hitting himself with his own rocket, being a little too preemptive, a little antsy.
Yeah, so now both players are tied up. They both have enough boost to make this jump, although it looks like Calim burned most of it right off the bat, which I think is a mistake. I'm not sure if he meant to use all of that boost. You want to really ideally save that for the jump to the top tube
Oh,
there.
he tried to make it up there by going quickly in that beginning and getting a quick grapple, but it didn't quite work out. Thankfully, he managed to make it.
Yeah, so it looks like Benson trying to get that hook there didn't quite work out for him. Also having to jump around since Calim was quite far ahead.
I think they was trying to go down and get Benson by going a little bit. There's actually one tile lower, so because of that, he tried to get Benson with the ice beam. Benson knowing about that though, so he jumped instead.
Yeah, so it looks like Benson actually racing perfectly through that bottom section, doesn't get caught by the door, which puts him at a bit of an advantage since he had more boost.
He's gonna opt to take that top route, not something that.
Ooh, and it looks like he actually does catch Calim at his own trick.
That's gonna take the game for Benson. So is that 3-0. Wow.
Yeah, that should be 3-0 now.
Calim really is grinding on his last pick. He's really got to find his map. Hopefully he's got a good idea already.
Alright, so it looks like our match point will be on Dance Hall.
Dance Hall's quite a fun map. It's very... I feel like it's got a lot of corridors, is the best way to describe it.
Now, I would say it's also a very vertical map for Workshop.
Yeah.
There are not that many, like, very vertical maps. Mostly, I would say, due to the fact that it tends to rely a lot on wall climb sections, although this map does a good job at having a lot of very precise, like, grapples that go up these maps, like here, into that boost tube.
Definitely. Calim with that first win, very strong. Just I'm not even totally sure how he got in the lead, but once he got there, he just kept going and pushing and pushing.
Yeah, so it looks like both players tied up now. Here's the second very vertical grapple. Both players making it, unsurprisingly. Tends to be something that a lot of players practice and are good at. Yeah, so it looks like both players going pretty standard route right now.
Oh, nice dodge from
Ooh.
Benson on those rocket.
The
Oh, but the
double
second rocket.
actually. Missed with the first one, but got him with the second one. I'm not sure if Benson was actually expecting that.
This map is, I feel like it has a lot of interesting item play, but a lot of the time they're long range item shots like that. So I feel a lot of the time they are easy to dodge.
Yeah, and there's definitely a few good sections on this map to use it, but with all of the speed that you have on this map and all of the small corridors, the items tend not to be as useful as players hope.
Oh, very
And it
nice.
looks like again we have the long range rocket, giving Benson another win.
Those rockets homing are really working out for him. Oh, this is a little dangerous if that shortcut had closed right there. Oh, and it did close on Benson. Oh no. So it didn't matter because Benson ended up dying off with the camera anyways, but the shortcut was closing, so he would have been dead regardless.
Yeah, I believe I've been told that Calim also goes by Bug. So many players may know him as that, but we're going to continue calling him Calim just because that is his name currently. So for watchers who are not familiar, it will be a little bit easier to follow.
And so we're going into Mansion. Traditionally a slower map, but kind of has some of the most interesting routes, I'd say, of any official map. Or some of the most.
Yeah, and you do have to be quite careful while running many of the routes, as a simple mistake can really snowball.
Ice beam. I feel like the ice beam is just such a. It's just, every time you see ice beam, it's like all eyes on deck.
Yeah, the ice beam being quite a powerful item, a lot of players very worried about that actually being used in a position where they're not able to dodge it. So a lot of the time we see players just waiting for it to pass before they can continue moving.
Oh, whoa! It looked like Calim got or was on the door as it was shutting, and so he ended up hitting the slope, not the slope, the flat tile instead of the slope because the door like he happened to just hit it at like while sliding up the door while the door was closing.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks like that was just very unfortunate for him. Not much he could really do about that, I suppose. Rockets being thrown both directions, although it looks like may or may not hit. No, it looks like it won't.
And imagine if they had managed to collide into each other. I don't even know
That
if
would
that's
be
possible.
insane. Oh, and it looks like Bensen actually getting a really difficult strat there. Grappling around that corner in a sweet spot, just right into that
Very nice.
slope
You
on the
get,
top.
as you can see there, it's a very strong route if you can do it properly. You get a lot
Yeah,
of
it's
speed.
actually a very difficult route, even for high league players. So I'm actually surprised to see that in a tournament.
Just goes to show you the level of practice that Benson puts in.
Looks like Benson messing up a grapple right there. Decides to just throw that round, which I don't think he would have recovered from that anyway, so that's very reasonable. Oh, pretty standard play from both players, although Calim going for the item there. A box which could be useful, although it looks like Benson has an ice and it doesn't hit, but that could have been a very powerful spot to use.
Yeah, that especially in that area because, or especially right after that area, because of the boxes that show up, it can be very, it can be very detrimental to get hit by.
Yeah, so it looks like it may come down to items actually again. It looks like Calim in the lead with a
Oh,
rocket.
oh, so many snipes between these two. Like,
Yeah, and that's
I think there was.
exactly what I was going for. I was like, he could just use it right there and end it, and it looks like he did. So there you go.
Very nice play from Calim. He's just really making a comeback. He is not going out without a bang.
And I mean, he could still win this. It's just as easy to get. You know, like Benson made 3 in a row, sure, but Calim can do the same. So we'll have to see.
So now we're going to Dash the Night. Dash the Night is. I feel like every time we've seen Dash the Night thus far, it's been a pretty one-sided map. I can't. I've only seen it a couple.
Yeah, well, I would say that we've seen quite a few misplays on this map as well, such as in the games with what was it, Deckard and well, actually, yeah, the previous game, Deckard versus Calim. So I'm not sure if we saw Calim pick this map, but it could very well be that he felt confident about this map and that he chose to
Now
pick it
he
for
is.
that reason.
He certainly picked it now. So
Ah, oh wow, and
very
that
wow.
rocket actually extremely powerful, knocking him all the way down that tube.
I was very smart. He went back to make sure the rocket had just enough space to do a full like semicircle, and then I managed and it just slammed right into him.
Ooh,
Ooh.
and that was also a very nasty ice. There's nothing he could really do there, just falling towards the ground. Yeah, so now both players have hooks, which are not very good items for this section, just due to the high speed that these players are navigating. But it could be good in this section, as we see Benson trying to go for it right there.
Oh, we see a little bit of route change up. Benson taking the top route rather than the bottom route. I think the top route is. I think the top route's a little bit faster, but I have no idea.
I think
But
the
Benson.
top and bottom seem to be about the same, except that the top route does give a better setup to climb the wall that follows it.
That's fair. Benson showing that he is not gonna let the comeback happen though.
Yeah,
Too.
so it looks like we are done with this first match in our semifinals.